Justin, I'll start off with you. We know that a staff-level call has been held already. What do we know about these talks that are said to be taking place soon?
Yeah, so we don't know a ton yet. We know that Ambassador Tai is expected to speak with officials with Beijing, as you said, as early as this evening. The timing is still a little bit fluid, and we're not sure exactly who on the Chinese side she'll be talking to. Liu He was obviously a key sort of counterpart during the Trump administration's trade talks, and he had a lot of the similar conversations. So we'll be looking to see if he, in fact, is the person that she ends up talking to. And as you alluded to as well, we know that in that earlier staff-level call that the Chinese said that as a prerequisite for the next steps in the relationships, they wanted to see tariff rollbacks. The U.S. side is really sort of emphasizing the idea that it expects China to live up to some of those massive agricultural purchases that they signed up for as part of that Phase 1 trade deal that was negotiated under the Trump administration.
Yeah, Tom, actually elaborate a little bit more on the Phase 1 trade deal and what was achieved so far when that deal was struck between the Trump administration and China.
Well, absolutely. Look, Josh talked about the size, the significant size of these commitments by China as part of this Phase 1 deal. Many at the time said that they were overly ambitious. You're talking about targets, $200 billion in additional purchases on top of 2017 levels for 2020 and 2021. And in terms of progress, last year, China was well behind the targets, came in with about 60%, just under 60% of the targets for last year. Now, they can blame the pandemic for that, the rupturing of supply chains, justifiably, many would say. This year, you have seen a ramp up, absolutely, of agricultural products and energy products from the U.S., from the Chinese side, but they are still well short of their targets for this year. The other elements that Katherine Tai is likely to be looking at and scrutinizing with her Chinese counterparts are those commitments around intellectual property and the opening up of the financial services. And both those areas, arguably, China can point to at least modest progress.
Tom, when it comes to potential flashpoints, are we seeing something developing when it comes to imports of U.S. corn?
That's right. So in free trade zones here in China, you have seen some of these feed mills cancelling U.S. cargoes, about 1 million tons. That's what we've been told in terms of U.S. imports of corn into the Chinese market. Just compare that to 20 million tons they bought so far this season. It's not huge. It did cause concerns. It did cause a bit of drop in the price of corn. Some analysts are saying that this is exactly what China's looking for. They're trying to get leverage in terms of the pricing. You got above $7 per bushel for corn. So maybe this is a move by China to kind of push the pricing down. The timing, of course, is interesting given the talks that are expected to happen between Katherine Tai and possibly Liu He, her Chinese counterparts. Others, by the way, are saying, look, in terms of the forecast for China's imports of U.S. corn, it is still likely to be a record year.
Justin, and this could come at a very tense time when we're also hearing from President Biden that he'll be asking his staff to actually continue investigating whether that coronavirus came from a lab in China.
Yeah, and this is a real pivot for the Biden administration that until today had been asking the WHO to investigate, which kind of had a hands-off element. But what we heard from the White House today was that they've asked the intelligence community in the U.S. to spend the next 3 months preparing another report on the possible origins of the virus. The president said that he received a report on this issue a few weeks ago, but that it was sort of split in what it said. Two elements of the intelligence community said that they leaned towards animals being the source of the virus, while another leaned toward origin in that Wuhan lab. And you can tell that the president, kind of spurred as details of that initial report have leaked out, is feeling some political pressure, obviously, considering the sort of massive death toll both in the U.S. and globally to determine what the origins of the virus are.